My name is Robert Sumwalt, and I am a board member with the National Transportation Safety Board. And with me is Captain Morgan Terrell, who is the investigator in charge for this accident. Today is the first full day of our investigation, and it has been a very busy and very productive day. We have initiated the crew interviews. The captain of the vessel, we began his interview at 10:30 this morning, and it terminated at 1:45, so he had a 3-hour and 15-minute interview. The mate's interview began at 2 and it concluded at 3:30, and each of these crew members are shaken and very concerned about the accident. They've been very forthright and cooperative with our investigators. The master, or the captain of the vessel, is 36 years old. He has 17 years of experience on ferries and 12 years as a ferry boat captain. He is described as Sea Streak's most experienced captain. He holds current Coast Guard credentials to operate a vessel of this type. He reported that he was rested yesterday on the day of the accident. He was rested and working his regular schedule. He reported to work at 5:30, cast off for his first voyage at 6 in the morning. Their duty day was to take one trip from Highlands up to Pier 11, then over to Pier 35, then back to Highlands, and they were on their second round trip of the day. They were on their second trip of the day into Pier 11 when the collision occurred. They left Highlands at 8:02, and the accident occurred at 8:41. Now let me describe to you the layout of the bridge, the navigational bridge, the wheelhouse, if you will. We've got a center console with controls to operate the vessel with electronic charting instruments, and then to either side, about 12 feet to the right, we have a starboard bridge wing where they can control the vessel, and the same to the left. There's a port control system. Per standard procedure in preparation for the docking, the captain moved to the starboard bridge wing. And this, of course, is so he can have better visibility of where he's coming into. So he moved to the starboard bridge wing. He had been at the center console for most of the voyage up from Highlands. When he got to the starboard bridge wing, he transferred control to that bridge wing so he could control the vessel from there. And then he attempted to move the thrust control to reverse, but the vessel did not respond as anticipated. He then thought perhaps that he had not transferred control properly, so he then hurried back to the center console to check the location of the controls. And at that point, he found that the center console controls were not operating or were not responding as anticipated. He then returned to the starboard bridge wing, and that's when the vessel alighted with the pier. Somewhere during this sequence, and he describes this sequence from going from one station to the next to the other again, he describes as happening very fast, but somewhere during this sequence, he reported that both diesel engines shut off. We are working to refine a timeline of exactly the sequence of events, but again, his term was that it happened very fast. And while he reported that his thrust commands were not responding as commanded, he reported no problems with the steering of the vessel, with the rudder commands. Now, many of you have asked questions about the alcohol and drug testing. The alcohol testing, I've personally reviewed the NYPD's results from the alcohol testing, and for each of the crew members, the blood alcohol content was reported to be at 0%, just where we want to see it. The drug testing, it takes longer. It has, obviously, a breathalyzer they can do right there on the spot. Drug testing does take longer. It has to be sent out to a lab for analysis. All of the drug and alcohol testing was conducted in accordance with the U.S. Department of Transportation timelines for such testing. The engineer of the vessel is being interviewed as we speak. His first language is Burmese, and the interview is largely being conducted in English. But to assist him in those areas of in the interview, the NYPD has located an interpreter who speaks Burmese, and that will help us and help him with this interview. Again, his first language is Burmese. The interviews, by and large, are being conducted in English. The electronics, we've had an NTSB investigator at the Coast Guard station in Staten Island. Investigators are collecting and reviewing all available data from the Coast Guard Vessel Traffic Service, including all navigation and communications data. We are pursuing all sources of video data that are available, and here's where we call on your help. As you know, in this day and age of cell phone video, if anyone at all has cell phone video that may assist the NTSB in our investigation, we would sure like to see it. And we've set up an email address. That email address for those who would like to contact us, whether they're a witness to the accident or whether they have photographs or video data, we would sure like to hear from those people. And that email address is witness@ntsb.gov. Again, witness@ntsb.gov. The Survival Factors group is coordinating with the local hospitals to document the passenger injuries. Tomorrow will be a very busy day as well. We will travel to New Jersey to test the control systems, the navigation systems, and to document the damage of the vessel, and to interview company personnel. So those are all of the prepared remarks that I have. I will be glad to answer any questions that you may have.
So the boat was coming into reverse, the thrust was gone, and the steering worked.
The question is for me to elaborate on the sequence of events. So as the boat was coming in, the captain found that the reverse thrust was not operating as anticipated. However, he reported no problems with the steerage, the actual steerage of the vessel.
So in essence, did the boat got stuck in reverse? You couldn't take it out of gear?
The question is, what actually happened? Did the boat get stuck in reverse?
Stuck in gear.
The captain reported that the vessel would not respond to his reverse thrust commands as anticipated. Yes, sir.
So he had trouble slowing it down as he approached the pier.
So because he couldn't get it into reverse, does that mean he was having trouble slowing it down? And that's precisely why he would go into reverse. As they're approaching the pier, they go into reverse to slow the vessel down. So that's where he was having trouble, was actually getting the pitch of the propellers, getting the vessel to actually go into a reverse thrust, to slow it down.
Is there a report that a C Street passenger was talking to this prior to this accident? The crew members talked about how this has been an issue previously. Speaking to the captain, did he talk about issues with this new propeller system?
You want to know, did a passenger talk to the captain about any problems with vessel? Is this prior to the accident or after the accident that you're asking about?
Did the captain that's speaking to you talk about
Oh, the question is, did the captain tell us that he was concerned of any prior to this any problems with the vessel's thrust controls? I have no knowledge that he mentioned that during his interview.
Did the captain or any of the other crew mention anything about problems after the engine overhaul, having problems steering, having problems with the engines?
Did the captain interview that after the overhaul that happened on the vessel a year or so ago, was this vessel, did it have any difficulty steering? That's one of the things we want to be really carefully looking at to make sure when we interview company personnel and interview other people that worked for the company, we want to know, were there problems that others had experienced with the steerage and with the thrust control of this vessel? That's one of the things we want to find out. Were there other reported problems with this vessel?
So did any mention complaints at all? Did they actually mention physically complaining to the owner of?
We will look. Did any of the crew members mention prior problems with the thrust control of this vessel? That's one of the things we want to look at. We will be going through the maintenance records, any of the squawks, the write-ups that crew members have. We want to look at any and all of those to see what the prior history was on this vessel. Yes, sir.
Reports of about taking out a buoy about 40, 50 yards from shore. You heard anything about that from the captain as well?
Do we have any information about the boat taking out a buoy 40 or 50 yards? I have no knowledge of that being reported by any of the crew members. Okay, so this is the last question. Terry called for the last question. This is the final. I'll take one more question.
During his interview, did the captain mention that he felt he made some kind of maneuver with the boat steering that worked that prevented this from being much worse?
The question is, did the captain make any lateral steering maneuvers to try to, once he realized that the thrust would not slow the vessel down, did he make any evasive maneuvers or anything else to avoid the elision? The event, according to him, happened so quickly. He was only able to attempt to reverse the thrust, and that's what we know about that at this point. So I want to thank you very much for being here.